Hi everyone, today I'll be giving a quick team overview for the upcoming OC Regional Finals held by Fortress. So what exactly is this tournament held by Fortress? This is, as I guess it states here, according to their website, the Path to Champions. So this tournament gives the opportunity for the winner to play in Pacific LCQ for a spot at Pacific Stage 2 play-ins. So honestly a great opportunity for OC teams considering how limited the chances are. And this was conducted in two phases. So the first phase, which were the qualifiers for this, got the top two teams from Act 1 and 2 from Premier, and then this was followed by an online open qualifier, so the top two teams there qualified, and then finally we had a LAN tournament actually in Sydney and Melbourne for the final two qualifiers. So now we're approaching phase two, and this is the regional final. So it will be online, but they will. I think it's yes, it's just the grand final will be a live watch party, so quite exciting. But this phase two gets all these eight teams, and they're split into groups and be playing best of three round robin, top two of each group qualify, and then the last four just will battle it out in a double elimination bracket to determine the winner. So now getting onto the teams. First we have Hippo. So this team came through the Melbourne qualifier, and they were just newly formed for the Melbourne qualifier. They have some of their players like Zek and Fan and KP. They were part of different teams during like the online qualifiers and missed out. So it's honestly a pretty good storyline to have formed this team for the Melbourne qualifier and then go on a run and qualify. They actually had a pretty dominant run as well. They only dropped like one map at pools, and then it was just clean 2-0s in the playoffs. So, riding a little momentum, and cool to see an upcoming team just, I guess, show some, I guess, promise just right at the gate. But I'll get onto it later. But they are in a very tough group, so it'll be interesting to see how they go in the upcoming tournament. Next, we have Evolve, and they came through the Sydney qualifier, and they've actually got quite the interesting story as well for their qualification. So during the year, they placed decently in some Rising Tide tournaments, like we see you got third and fifth and sixth, so not too bad. And then when they went for the online qualifier, which was another way to get in. They placed fifth to eighth, so they unfortunately missed out there. But following that, honestly I think it was only like a week or two later when the Sydney qualifier happens, they came in, managed to win out. So nice story of like their perseverance just to come back from that and finally secure themselves one of the last spots in the tournament. So it was quite well done from them. But it is important to note that their roster for their online qualifier, their Sydney qualifier, they had Echo in their lineup, and now they've got ZJK147, who has played with them previously, so he is part of like their original core. But I think it's just something to note going to the tournament over the weekend that they are missing, I guess, a duelist player that did help them qualify. So might impact them, might not. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Next, we have Arcade Esports, and so this is one of the first teams that we have from the online qualifier. They actually were picked up by Arcade Esports following their success at the online qualifier, and they've got a team with some players who, like, I say relatively new because they I guess well I think relatively new is fine to say because some of them haven't played for maybe like half a year, and they came together for Rising Tide Split 2 and came ninth to 12th. So I would say that was just probably them getting to grips with things and get back on their feet again. And then following the Rising Tide, they went on the online qualifier and only dropped one map and were able to beat teams such as there was like Noob, Lavish, Clueless, who who'd previously outperformed them, were doing like quite decent like throughout the year in other tournaments. So it looks like they just got online, I guess, at the, well, pardon pun, but activated at like the right time and had a good run. Uh, they did attend like a circuit in May right afterwards as well, and they did place 13th. They lost games to some teams that like both the teams they lost to were like runners up in both the other qualifiers, but it might they already qualified, so maybe they're just relaxing, trying out new things. But yeah, it could just slight concern maybe going to this tournament that things have like slowed down a bit, but honestly, like don't want to read into it too much because, as I said, they already qualified. Could have who knows what the tournament was about in the May circuit. So yeah. And now for our other online qualified team, we have Justice for Tomorrow. So this is an org that actually like I think we haven't seen for maybe like 2 years since like the Ascension run, but they picked up this team going into the online qualifiers. So we have a core of Vina, Quentin, and Jorzy, who have, I think, well, it's mainly been them who were part of the teams that placed third at the Predator League Oceania tournament and also VCL Oceania Stage 2. So quite a bit of experience there and being consistent, like part of some teams are like consistently up there in OCE. Um, and then they're joined by also keep in mind throughout this whole video I might get players' names wrong. So I'm not too familiar with a lot of them, so forgive me and feel free to correct me. And I'm sure during the upcoming tournament I'll learn players' names here in the broadcast. So they're joined by Xenox and Kaza, who they joined them for Split 2, and I guess they've been around in like other teams as well. But yeah, with the wasn't a great Split 2 for them, coming 9th and 12th, but I think just as I said, like the previous team beforehand, Arcade, it's like I'm assuming it's just new team getting used to things, and they showed up for online qualifying and beat most of the other competitions. So I think that's the main important thing. So yeah, I think I think out of all the qualified teams outside the Premier teams, so ones from like the land qualifiers, online qualifiers, I think I've got Justice for Tomorrow as I guess my dark horse pick because I think just the experience and just how they've formed the team just looks kind of promising. So now we're moving on to Full House, so one of our first Premier teams. So you also notice here that this is one of the first international experience teams that we've got, and marked quite a big jump in experience compared to our other qualifier teams. So we have the core of Feta, Biggie Cheese, and Zork, and these guys go back a little bit back to 2023, so been around for quite a while. As you can see on the right there, they were part of the team that's, I mean, second at both the VCL Oceania stages, and then also second at one of the Predator League Oceania tournaments as well. So consistently up there, and Feder, Big Cheese, and Zork were also part of the next gen team that did play that international tournament after they did come first at Predator League Oceania. And also, I think I didn't mention this earlier, but for notable placements, I've done my best to use, I guess, the core of a team, which is about like three players of where they're placed. Because if you're familiar, OCE players switch teams maybe like at least like 5 times a year under different names, under different things. So it's hard to keep track, but I've done my best. Anyway, they've also picked up Ikana, and this guy is very experienced as well, and a great addition because, as you can see there, part of the 2025 E-King team that played in Pacific Ascension, and also part of the 2024 Justice for Tomorrow team that played in Ascension as well. So honestly, great pickup, and honestly boosts the strength of the team a lot. Notably, they have Muzumaz, and he's I couldn't find much on him, but he hasn't played for almost a year, so I mean, that he's probably like the only like slight concern I'd have for the team. But with such like a strong core and like players, like I'm not too worried. So I think there's still going to be a strong team regardless. Now for our next team, we have Squishy Cheeks. So this is sort of a interesting team because obviously I can't really exactly tell who was part of the Premier team, but for four of the players, Kiss, Merza, Indra, and Abbas were part of Rising Tide Split One, where they were like undefeated in pools, and the only reason they came 12th is because I'm not sure if it was either they forfeited or disqualified, but yeah, not entirely sure what happened during that tournament, but yeah, that's why they're listed as 12th, but definitely could have placed higher. And it's also a bit interesting because I think part of that split one, they also had Long on their team as well, who's now listed as a sub. So that's why I've also, under the line, got their placements at Predator League and VCL Oceania, because Kiss, Merzer, and Long were formed that core that sort of had those placements. But just because I don't know what's going on with the team or what exactly the roster is and VLR, I don't know how accurate it is. I've just put it under the line just as like a small like asterisk. But yeah, speaking of the teams, I mean Kiss, Merzer, they were part of that Justice for Tomorrow 2024 Ascension team. So honestly, good start there. Got some experienced players there, and then they're joined by Indra and Abbas, who are previous teammates who I think I'm not entirely sure. Like they've been on a few different teams, but yeah, they're teammates and their teams have come close, like getting to the playoffs previous. So there's some experience there. Obviously, not as much international experience, but still. And then Baza is, to the best of my knowledge, pretty new because the only recorded thing is from the Rising Tide Split One. So this is it's a strange team that like obviously you've got some experience there with like Kiss and Merza, and then it's just, but it's like because like there's such a lack of information that's going around, and I just don't know what the roster is going to look like or how well they're playing since Split One was like uh, a bit ago. So yeah, it's like I'm sure they are a strong team because they've still managed to qualify, but I'm slightly concerned about their form going into this. So I think yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. Next we have finishers. So this is a team that's honestly just been grinding a lot this year. They've basically showed up at most like Oceania like competitions and been winning, as you can see, like first in Rising Tide, third in the second split, and then they took first at the circuits, and I think even the March circuit I don't think they won, but I think they came second as well. So yeah, just a very just dominant team this year locally. So I guess their core has it's a bit strange, but most of their players here have formed the core and it's switched out like slightly like throughout the year. But when Rising Tide, it's sort of like solidified a bit more. But yeah, after they did win Split One, they were actually picked up by finishers, so that's nice for them getting an org. And while they don't have any international experience like some of the previous teams we've seen, I think just because they've just been so consistent and just on the grind, like I think that form and work ethic just recently is like I think it poises them well just to be continuing with that momentum and bringing it into the upcoming tournament. But notably, the third place that they have there, Rising Tide Split 2, they did lose to E-King and Meet Season, I think that's what the team was. And Meet Season had some of the Full House players, and E-King is E-King, one of like the top OCE teams. So, like, yeah, Finishers definitely up there as like a top team, but yeah, based on that placement at Rising Tide Split 2, it might just be indicative of like how this tournament's going to go when we finally get into like the final run of things. So, and now we have Yi-Jing. So this team is honestly it's you can't really say much about this team besides how stacked it is. So it's as you can see on the right there, notable placements. I mean, first at Rising Tide, Predator League, VCL, like just honestly the most dominant team that we've had in Oceania, like historically. Um, Obviously the roster's changed quite a bit, but there's there's a core here that were part of all the part of those teams that made all those first place runs. So yeah, I think it's hard to see this team is other than like the top dog at this tournament. Um, and so for the core here, we've got Kadiri, Minimize, and Dragon. And so Kadiri, Minimize, and Dragon, they were part of that VCL team. And then we have Kadiri, Floga, and Minimize, which are part of the Predator League team. So, like I said, like as I said, the cores changed like slightly here and there, but for all intents and purposes, the same. Um, and then they've also got Swirl joining them after he's spent about 2 years over in China. Well, I guess 3 years if you count Royal Never Go Up as well. But yeah, he's honestly amazing addition for the team here because I mean, honestly, most experienced like OCE player besides I guess Ultim at the moment, like being able to play in just tier 1 tournaments, like I mean, invaluable experience and joining a team that's already stacked with players like makes it even stronger. So honestly, great pickup, and yeah, it's yeah just another strength just to this team. Um, and then next we have Kadiri. He was on the next gen team that played in the Predator League. So yeah, some international experience there, and then also the E-King Ascension team in 2025. Minimize and Dragon, both part of the OG Bonk Ascension team that in 2023, a classic. And while Minimize also did play with Swirl internationally and Royal Never Go Up, I've just put him here as the Bonkers team because that's what I've associated him with. And yeah, watching that Bonkers run back in the day was quite exciting. Didn't go ideally, but you know there was hope. And then yeah, Minimize and Dragon also part of the 2025 E-King Ascension roster as well. So yeah, 2 years later on, still performing at a high level. So yeah, good to see. And Floga, while relatively new compared to some of the others, like he was part of that 2026 Predator League team, so also got international experience. So yeah, from top to bottom, whole team's got experience, international experience as well, and yeah, it's hard to see as like them anything but like the clear favorite and team to beat. So extremely strong team to watch out for. So now I just thought I'd put in some predictions. I do want to note I haven't watched any of these teams play because I did only find out about this tournament maybe a few days ago. So I tried to rush out this video and still keep it as accurate as best I can, considering that games are starting tomorrow actually. So yeah, so just take these with a grain of salt. But in Group A, I mean, it's got Yi-Jing and Full House. So yeah, I mean, look, Hippo and Arcade, they had some nice ones, but it's honestly it's too hard to like say that they could overcome just the experience difference of Yi-Jing and Full House. So those two I've just like penciled in to qualify because I just don't see a world where they don't. Um, and then Group B, I think Group B is actually a bit more interesting because I think all these like I think Finnish is like a clear qualifier, but as I was saying before, Squishy Cheeks, I'm just not sure what's going on with their roster or like their form. So I think they're a bit of an unknown. Evolve, like as I said, they might have like they might I guess maybe have like a low floor considering some of the earlier places, but they've leveled up recently. But then also losing Echo is like yeah, so they're just been a lot of unknowns going around this group. And then Justice for Tomorrow is, as I said before, they're my dark horse. So with how uncertain Group B could potentially be, I've thought, oh yeah, you know what, there's a decent probability that Justice for Tomorrow can qualify. So I put them in as my other qualifying team. But when it does get to playoffs, though, I do just have Justice for Tomorrow just going in fourth because other teams are just more consistent and potentially stronger. So I think if they do fourth or if they somehow manage to do better than fourth, I think that's amazing. But yeah, I think fourth is solid for Justice for tomorrow. And then in second and third, I was sort of on the fence about which ones to put in second and third because with with finishers like they have been like so consistent, but they did lose to some Full House players in Rising Tide, so I was a bit so. And even though like the team is different and Full House is like, I guess going in with a sort of newish team, like they've still got such a strong core, and with Akana as well. I've honestly just I've honestly just given preference to experience and just put Full House second and finishes third. But honestly, I could see like it the other way around, finishes coming second and Full House third. But at the moment, I think I'm just preferencing experience and some more like more I guess yeah not necessarily a known quantity, but yeah I just think just Full Houses might just be stronger potentially. Um, and then finally first place. I mean it's Yi-King or Yi-Jing now. I don't exactly know what's with the name change. There might be someone more involved. Might have a better idea, but anyway, they they have to be first. Like it's, I think, especially with the addition of Swirl, like you can't really argue that there's a stronger team here, and they've been dominant for so long. Don't really see it going any other way. In the past, they have lost. I guess they have lost before, but it is quite rare, and yeah, it's. I don't think it's happening today. I don't think it's happening. So yeah, I think they're first, and yeah. So yeah, so thanks for watching and staying through with me while I explain all the teams and give my predictions. And if you do want to like watch and support OC Valorant, and also this also is dependent if you're in Melbourne or not. But Fortress is going to be running a watch party for the grand final on Sunday, the 21st of June. So if you're interested in that, it's a free event. Come down, have a watch. Um, and they did also say on the website that they will be broadcasting the tournament. I'm not sure if they're going to be broadcasting groups or just playoffs or where exactly. So I'm honestly just guessing here, but they said there was going to be a broadcast, and they didn't exactly provide the location of the broadcast. So my best guess is it's either going to be on Fortress's Twitch or Fortress's YouTube. So maybe look there this weekend or next weekend, and hopefully it's there. But yeah, I'm excited for this tournament, and I hope everyone is as well. So and I hope the team previews gave you something, just give you an idea of what the teams are like, and be excited for them. So yeah, have a good one, everyone.